Steve Evans, before we get on to Bradford, it's been a busy week.
As always.
As always, yeah. So we'll just go through a few things. Aaron Chapman to start with, he's left the club. I guess he just wants to play at his age.
Yeah, listen, I was talking to Chappie yesterday as well. He's a brilliant lad. He's a very good, competent goalkeeper. The difficulty that's coming at Aaron's life is he's a Rotherham boy, and his missus is expecting a baby any time, literally in the next 10 days or so. So therefore he's found, and rather than staying over and doing all that stuff, he's had to commute every day back and forth. It's a long way to run from Stevenage on a daily basis. Obviously we got the injury to Tay, and we thought we can't bring another two in, we've got to bring another one in to compete with Aaron. Aaron seen that Tay gets in, you were signing a goalkeeper, and at the same time we had an approach from Scunthorpe United, from Jimmy Dean. And I knew as soon as I mentioned it to Aaron, the opportunity to go and get a longer term contract, 18 months, and probably, be at home every day, every night, 30 minutes from his door. It made sense for us to allow that to happen. And he'll hopefully play a massive part in keeping Scunthorpe United in the National League, because the thought of them being down below that is horrific. So wish Jimmy and Aaron and every success. But he goes with our best wishes, and we'll have a bash at the end of the season with the players and the staff like we always do at every club, and he'll be a big part of that.
And you've brought Adam, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his surname.
Prisbeck, is it? Adam's a young man. I first came across him when he was on the bench against my team for Ipswich Town, and he's moved around really without commanding a starting place. We knew we had to find a goalkeeper fairly quickly if we were going to expedite and let the Aaron Chapman thing happen. And I spoke to Gareth Ainsworth. He said, I think he's just about to sign for Portsmouth. And so we quickly got Leon on the case, and we got him at the Portsmouth training ground and got him here. So he wasn't going to be number one at Portsmouth for sure, but he was going in there to give himself an opportunity. But Gareth Ainsworth spoke in glowing terms of him, and so did the staff at Ipswich. So that was enough for me, and he's come in and he'll compete with a big fella for a place.
The next thing that happened this week was the training game with the Premier League club.
They never turned up. No, we got on Monday the demands of what they needed in terms of security and different things were going to be too much for us at short notice. It doesn't sound that is the case, but it is if they're bringing big boys, so we couldn't do that. So we did an in-house game, which was great. The boys got 70 minutes. The boys that needed it got 70 minutes. The others trained. So excellent for what we needed. We'd have rather had the Premier League club because of the competitiveness, and we do a lot more work off the ball, but we got a lot out on Tuesday as well. So and next time we'll realise that when we're playing a club of that stature, when they bring some of the, you'd say, so-called stars, we'll make sure that we've got a lot better time to plan properly.
But I mean, the whole purpose of playing in the week was just to get the minutes in the leg. So if you've got that, then great.
Yeah, 100%. Solely to get them game time. They went out there. I think they really enjoyed playing. I think there's a number of players hadn't had that 70-80 minutes of competitive football for a while, and they all were speaking afterwards about how much they enjoyed it. So that was good, and we said that allows competition for a place on Saturday.
The turn into Saturday, it was mentioned, it's another massive game in what will be a sequence of massive games for you.
I think every game now until the end of the season is going to be a big game for us, isn't it? Whether we're in second position or first or 10th, every game is a big game. But we've always focused on, we'll look at and review the last one. I think there's pluses about a performance at Sutton, there's negatives as well, so we'll learn from that, and that's the key thing here. As we say, we don't win, lose or draw, we learn. So we'll have learned some things from that. We'll have learned from what happened up at Bradford earlier in the season. We'll learn some things from that, and we'll prepare a team for another massive game in terms of, if you look at Bradford City, they are the one special club in League Two that everyone says they could be playing a Premier League fixture on Saturday, and no one would blink. No one would blink. They're that size of club. But we have an opportunity on Saturday to get 3 points, and that's our sole focus.
You mentioned the game up there. It probably wasn't your best performance both defensively and in attack. Is there a point to prove?
No, I don't think there's a point to prove. I think you have to sometimes accept that a team's better than you on the day, and I think they had some big players for me that will play here on Saturday for them that really stood up and said, this is who I am, and I play in this league, and I play against you, and I'm very good, and that's what they had on that particular day. So we learnt lots. What happened at Bradford? You can see our run of form when we left Bradford. What happened after that? So we learnt lots. We'll know a lot more about Bradford for this weekend than what we did last weekend in terms of how Mark prepares them, how he sets them up, what personnel he's likely to pick. But the other side of the coin is he'll know a lot more about us too. But we've got huge respect for what they're about as a team, and we know what winning for them on Saturday here means to them in terms of position wise, where they go and where they don't go if they don't.
Looking at team selection, I mean, you probably had a team in mind anyway. That might have changed after the Sutton game. It's probably changed again after the Tuesday. You've got some thinking to do for the next couple of days, haven't you?
Yeah, I think the first thing you do is properly review what happened at Bradford, because a lot of the personnel will be the same. So you review a little bit about that. You then review your last couple of performances. You review your training programmes, and you're then thinking our team will come from a particular shape that we want to play on Saturday, because there's certain players suited to better shapes than others. I thought I knew the team before the training game, and then 2 or 3 in the training game were very good, and the staff were in here this morning before you guys, as you've seen, and they're saying the same things. So, but we'll come in this afternoon and there'll be the best debates ever, but there always is about our team. So I've got an idea what I'm going to play. It'll be interesting if the staff after training today think the same.
Well, I mean, you're on this fabulous run as well, and we've spoken about 12 matches unbeaten and what have you, but what hasn't been given sort of a bit of attention is the fact you've kept 8 clean sheets in that time. I mean, that is fantastic.
Yeah, listen, I think T.S. Hammond deserves enormous credit. He's been outstanding for us. And he'll be back. The good news is he's had his little operation and he'll be on the road to recovery, and it's probably going to be 6 to 8 weeks rather than 4, but at least we know what the situation is. But you have to give outstanding credit to the big boys at the back. They've been tremendous. Nobody better than our skipper, Pierre Gianni. He's Carl, I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark night. I just wouldn't, if you looked at me. But, would you want to meet Swains? Would you want to meet Van Kutten? Would you want to meet big, Luther Wilden? Would you want to meet Big Tompkins? The answer's no. They're big players, but we need now big performances from big players as we go forward for the last, 19 games? And everyone's trying to jockey in position and beat each other. Last Saturday for me showed how tough it is to win in League Two. Leyton Orient win, I think deserved winners against Wimbledon, but other than that, no one else took advantage of us not winning at Sutton. So from that point of view, it's really tough to win.
And talking of Sutton, you had a very different defence there, and yet they still kept a clean sheet.
Wasn't it good? You lose Van Kutten, you lose Sweeney. People saying, well, they're going to struggle. You bring Tompkins and then you bring Boswick in, and it was seamless. There was no difference who played in that back three. If there was a strong area of our team on Saturday at Sutton, they're a big, strong, powerful side. Matt Great says we're the only ones that can make a goalkeeper change and 2 centre-back changes and still be strong as what we were, because they're thinking if they're losing Sweeney and they're losing Van Kutten, we'll see what they've got. He says, and we didn't know Tompkinson, but you look at Tompkinson, you look at Boswick, and it was a seamless transition for me. Listen, if it's those guys on Saturday, I don't think anyone's going to raise an eyebrow. They were terrific.
And just going to the injuries now, you've touched on Tay, he's had his operation. Sweens, you reckon, was going to be back in training this week?
Sweens should train today. He should train today. He's going to train today, so we're not expecting any reaction other than a positive. Michael Boswick's been off for a couple of days just because Michael came in from the moon and suddenly played 90 minutes and was outstanding at Sutton, but he's getting older. So we looked after him a little bit, so Michael will train today. So we're expecting almost, apart from Terence, a full and Tay, a full complement.
Is TBC close? Or is it
Terence we've probably got earmarked Stockport on Saturday week. So he's been a big player for us. He's been brilliant since the start of the season. I would call him more like an assassin. He goes about his job in a very quiet, natured manner compared to Sweeney and Pierre Gianni, who you hear like 3 miles from a training ground. But we miss Terence, but we don't miss him when we sign Tompkinson. We tried as long as we probably took too long to do it, but we tried really hard to get as close a replacement as we could for that central area. We found one, didn't we, with JT?